My fellow Americans, our long national nightmare is over.
Welcome back to the Stranded Sports Podcast. It's been a while. I'll admit it's been a while, mostly because of me, but whatever. I'm talking kind of quiet because this room is very echoey. My roommate's here who's kind of stranded. And yeah. So that's the deal. I'm Nick Hedrick. That's Ethan Morrison. Nope, that's Ethan Morrison.
Other side.
Yeah, there we go.
Other side.
Finger-wise, I don't know where I was just pointing. But yeah, the other person here is Ethan Morrison, who I'm sure you all know. Now, Ethan, first of all, how you doing?
I'm doing great. A lot of stuff to talk about today. So I'm just glad that we were able to, find a time to finally get back together and chat once again.
Yeah, and I clunked through that intro. It's all kind of hitting me. Just what a crazy year it's been from a professional standpoint, I guess. And that's where we're going to start today's episode. What's going on? What's happened? Whatever. Most people already know because most people who listen probably know me or know about me through Ethan or whatever have you, whoever else is in this organization at this point. With people graduating, people getting internships and stuff, things have stranded, for lack of a better term, served its purpose. It helped everyone in it, essentially. I don't know if I want to act like it's the sole reason, but everyone within the organization got some sort of role. Ethan's with the paper. I have a full-time job in TV. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to. Yeah. And so with it serving its purpose, obviously the passion project of making a name for who we are and making a name for ourselves through interviewing athletes, making content for Stranded, obviously took a back seat to these more professional roles, so to speak. And it became more of just a side thing. And then eventually it became for what it was for the last couple months, which would be nothing, obsolete, as some would say. And that was never our intent. My intent was always like, this could be a fun side thing to do, as opposed to it just vanishing, because it went from we're all in on it to there's nothing very quickly, which was unfortunate, but it was what it was. It's, the sign of the times, the state of where everyone was. But going forward, I'm not sure who's going to be involved. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Again, with a full-time job, that's media related. Obviously, that's my first priority. They've put a lot of faith in me, and I want to honor that. And I don't want to make them think anything else that I'm doing is more important than that, because it's not. But at the same time, that's not a sports related job, and sports are, for lack of a better term, my life. That is my passion. I love sports. I hope to work in sports one day, but right now that's not what my life is calling me to do. That's not where life's taking me right now. And in a way, I'm very thankful for that, because I think I'm broadening my horizons in a way. So to make a long story short, we are going to continue this. There's going to be no more articles for the time being, probably for maybe even a couple years if we survive that long. This is not meant to be like a eulogy. It's meant to be, things are not going to be what they were. Not like we had a dedicated hardcore fan base where we were racking in hundreds or thousands of views or reads every day. But articles, for lack of a better term, are dead. I'm saying lack of a better term a lot because there's really no other way to put it other than be frank. Articles are dead, for so to speak. YouTube, podcast, and stuff, that's alive. I hope to continue that. I'm not sure to what extent we will be doing that, but Saturday morning chat, those kinds of things, Stranded with the Under, with me, Ethan, and Jack, hopefully those things all stay. And hopefully this YouTube channel can grow and become sort of a thing where we create a community and have some fun. And hopefully our hiatus did not make everyone go, okay, this is a dead brand, which it kind of was. So I couldn't blame anybody if they thought that. But the hope is to create that fun little community and have a fun thing to do in our free time. I think that would be the best way to put it. Ethan has looked very passionately, not in like a sexual way, but he's looked in a very agreeative, I don't think that's the word, sort of way during this whole thing. And again, like, I'm getting emotional talking about this because when we started this was the goal, was for everybody involved to have something fun to do to get them to where they want to be. That's kind of where we are now. But with that being said, I don't know who's involved at this point. And I don't want to say like I'm coming on here as Dave Portnoy Barstool or somebody would do and like publicly oust people, because that's not what I want to do. Everyone involved that has been involved is my friend. But the fact is, people are graduating still. People are in different spots in their lives. I can't tell you that Tyler's going to be involved at a level that he once was. I can't tell you Connor's going to be involved the same way he once was. Obviously, if they're free, we'd love to have them. But again, things are a two-way street. And I don't want this to sound like people are calling me out or I'm calling people out or vice versa. But, I talk to Ethan on a regular basis. Ethan's going to text me and say, hey, can we record something today? And I'm going to say yes. That initiative needs to be there from whoever wants to be involved, because frankly, I don't have time at this point to be trying to orchestrate things and pull strings like a conductor in the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I don't have time to do that right now. So I guess if anyone did listen that was involved or is involved, if you want to make content, you know where to find me. If anyone else wants to make content, you know where to find me. So that was a very long-winded way of getting to the point of we're back in a way. We hope that you enjoy what we make, and we hope that we can upload frequently enough to where it's not like, why are these dudes talking about relevant sports topics once every 3 months? Ethan, sorry you had to listen to that. Thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here and glad to be back. It's been a long time coming.
It has been, as I just talked about for about 8 minutes, I think it was, but it is what it is. I just realized I never took my medication, so that's fun. We have 12 minutes left. Just kidding. But anyway, we're going to get into it. There's a lot to talk about, as we've said, in between me getting on my soapbox, as a professor of mine would once say. We're going to start off with something that I didn't text Ethan when we talked about our list of topics, and that is going to be Tiger Woods, because I'm gutted from the Tiger Woods stuff. I know maybe some people think that it was his own doing, which in a way it probably was. I know the whole police report didn't really say too much about his accident, but just hearing him say, I'll probably never be the golfer I once was. I'm at peace with where my career is. It was weird to me, because Tiger Woods has always been a kind of person that's like, I am the best. I will be the best. And they ask him about breaking Nicklaus's records, and he goes, I'm not going to tie him. I'm going to pass him, or I'm not going to get close. I'm going to pass him. So to hear him kind of have that acceptance of, yeah, I'm probably never going to be where I once was. I ain't as good as I once was, as Toby Keith would say. Yeah, it's kind of shocking to me. It makes me feel old. And I think golf will now desperately need that face. And there's a lot of entertaining people, the DeChambeaus of the world, the Koepkas of the world. But there's also a lot of people that I don't think were as polarizing as they wanted them to be. Rory McIlroy is one of my favorite golfers, but in terms of will I turn on a golf event just because he's up fighting for it? Probably not. Same with, oh my God, what the hell is his name? Whatever. I just totally blanked. But Ethan, who?
Was that the one? Hideki Matsuyama or whatever his name is.
No. He almost won me a ton of money. But Ethan, what do you make of everything?
I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't even think he was going to play golf again. I thought after that accident, I thought he was done. So to see him, have that press conference and even say that he's going to be on the tour again, even just part-time or going to do a pick and choose type deal, is just amazing to me. And something I like to see. I mean, I'm not the one to, watch golf every week and follow Tiger Woods and what he's doing. But just to hear him after what he's gone through over the past 8-9 months is just incredible to me.
Yeah, and the fact that he's kind of saying, I hope I can make it back to the PGA levels, obviously just something that's very Jordan Spieth. That's who I was thinking of. I almost called him Smith. And I was like, that's not his last name. Jordan Spieth.
He had a good year or two.
Yeah, he did. And now he's
and
him
and
McIlroy were both good, but they made it sound like they were both going to be Tiger. And again, I'm not a diehard PGA fan, so maybe there is one that's like, you idiot, they were never built up to be that way. But it's weird. It's weird that who does golf have now that you turn on and go, I need to see them play? They haven't had anybody like that since Tiger's back issues started. Mm-hmm. And now he's basically saying, I hope I can be that good again, which again is insane to hear. But I guess it's what we have to accept. People get old, people make mistakes and crash cars and almost lose their legs. And when you're in your 40s, like he is, closer to 50, he might even be at this point, you can't expect them to bounce right up and say, all right, here we go, especially with the litany of injuries he's already had.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said before, it's just like shocking for me. I mean, because like I said, like I never thought he would be in this position where, he could even be thinking about competing in a tournament again at the level of a PGA Tour level. So that's just crazy and shocking to me. And I'll be happy to, at least pay attention to how he's doing in his return. What is it? Tournament weekend?
Yeah. The whatever he
Something
comes
like that.
back. Whenever he returns for another tournament.
Exactly.
And I mean, we got his return to glory. That storyline already played out. It's probably one of the best storylines in sports. He wins that one tournament at the end of the year, comes back and wins the Masters again. And I think him winning the Masters in a way, his most recent Masters win, his latest tour win, I think in a way that was a peace of mind for some people. He was God. No one could touch him. And then he just had this catastrophic collapse that I don't think you really could compare to almost anybody else in sports. I'm sure, off the top of my head, I'm not thinking of any, but there's been a lot of people that have had tremendous collapses and come back. Alex Smith did it, but it was never to the extent of reaching the peak again, in my opinion. Again, off the top of my head. They came back, they got to say they did it, but Tiger literally came back and won the most prestigious tournament there is. That would be like if Joe Theismann had his leg demolished and then came back and won a Super Bowl, and so I think that put a lot of people at peace, a lot of people at ease, and he's tied with Snead, I believe, for the most tournament wins now. Maybe I think they're tied. I can't remember. I literally just looked at this the other day, and I know he's still behind Nicklaus, but he lived up to the hype, and I think everyone can know that regardless of what happens in his future, Tiger Woods was, for all intents and purposes, probably the best golfer to ever live. And if he didn't have all these injuries, he would be far and beyond everybody. Because look at what he did in terms of records in the time that he did have.
Oh, definitely. And like you said, him winning the Masters, for me, it's like, okay, you can close this book, close this era of golf, close this, will Tiger ever get back to where he was and, get over that hump after all of these injuries and finally win that major tournament? And he did. So I'm like, okay, I'm done. I've seen what I've seen what I wanted to see with Tiger and Tiger Woods in his career on the tour. If he wants to do these fun matches like he did with Manning, by all means, it's still gonna interest me. It's still gonna intrigue me. But for his professional career, I don't really think he needed to make this once again. Oh, I might play again. I think, for all intents and purposes, I think he closed the book in the chapter of his life.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to put it. I think he's accepting that this book is over. Well, this chapter, the book's not over unless there's a very catastrophic turn. But yeah, this chapter, the book's over. And I'm very excited to see what he does in the next one, because as I alluded to earlier, he's always been full send, full gas pedal down, accelerator down, whatever technical car term you want to use, foot to the floor. We're going at it and I'm going to be the best. Now he's like, well, maybe I'll play a tour again. Maybe I'll play a tour tournament again. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And it's very weird. But at the end of the day, he's got to do what's best for him. He's had so much happen to him. And even he said, I won that Masters. I had that return. And I'm at peace with whatever happens next. And I think in a way, he kind of deserves that. Yeah, he is a victim of his own choices in a lot of the turmoil he's had in his life. But you would be lying to yourself if you said that Tiger Woods probably isn't the most instrumental golfer of all time. How many people picked up a set of golf clubs because of him? I sure did. I know a lot of my friends did. And I don't want to say he served his purpose because that makes it sound like he's disposable, but he lived up to all the hype. And I'm really very, very excited to see where he goes from here. And speaking of where do we go from here, the MLB, which some people still claim has never fully recovered from its lockout in 1995. 94, I think, is when it started. 95, it continued into, I don't know when they consider the actual year. I know it took part in those 2 years, whichever year lockout you technically want to call it, whatever. Some people say that the sport never recovered from that lockout, and now we are hours away from officially another lockout beginning. And depending on who you talk to, the sport is already in a downward spiral, despite what these big meaty contracts that we're seeing being offered in these last couple of days are, despite sponsors, ratings, whatever you want to talk about it. The sport's in a downward spiral, allegedly, if you look at attendance and whatnot. So believe whatever you want to believe with that. But it looks like another lockout's going to go down. Sounds like they're nowhere close. I think deliberations today lasted 7 minutes, I heard.
Yep.
So it sounds like they're nowhere close. Obviously, the big thing I think owners are going against is the players want that the amount of time they serve before free agency to go down by a year or so. And I guess the owners are like, hell no. From a fan's perspective, I know a lot of people, I don't know if this is actually being talked about. I haven't read a ton into it yet because I felt it was heading towards a lockdown. And then once it did go, I'd pay attention. But I know a lot of fans want to see a salary floor and a salary ceiling, salary cap, due to the fact that teams like the Orioles and Pirates are paying all of their players a fraction of what one player's contract is on some of these bigger market teams. But Ethan, you're a baseball guy more so than I am at this point in my life. What do you make of this, and what do you think it means for the game of baseball going forward?
I mean, everyone knew this lockdown was coming. It was just a matter of time. And now the time is, I think, 4 hours from the lockdown that everyone saw coming. There was no surprises here. There's two sides. There's the Players Association, and then you got the big front office of Major League Baseball. Like you said, they're on opposite ends right now. They're, like you said, 7 minutes of deliberation on this new collective bargaining agreement wasn't going to get it done. People are saying the season is dead. Like, there's not a chance they're going to come to an agreement by, the start of the season. It's going to be lasting throughout the season. I don't see that. There's a ton of time between now and February where they can, negotiate and deliberate and get a deal done. So I don't see it lasting as long as other people think. I think they will, to an extent, and at some point get a deal done. I'm not saying next week they're going to get a deal done, but in the next couple of months, I think they're going to get a deal done. But it's not going to be as big as, people are putting it out to be. I mean, I see people on Twitter, oh yeah, once this lockdown is over, MLB is going to come out with a better financial system than it did before. I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see any drastic moves by both the Players Association and Commissioner Manfred and all of them. I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see, some tweaks here and there, but they're going to have to meet in the middle in a lot of places. They're going to have to meet financially to some players that are making league minimum. They're going to need to be like, if players that are making league minimum, they're not getting paid by the Major League Baseball because obviously they're shut down. So they're going to need to come to an agreement there, number one, so they can get paid, so they can actually live their lives without having to fear of, oh, when am I going to make money next? And obviously there's going to be people up that are making, like Max Scherzer's or $43 million a year. And so you're going to have those people. There's player reps on each team, obviously. So they're going to have a lot of talks there with them, so we can, sort of work with these financial problems that Major League Baseball is facing with their, players that are younger and don't make as much money as the Max Scherzers, the Francisco Lindors, all of those guys. So there's going to need to be talks there, and among other things, smaller things that need to be worked out. But like I said, I don't think it's going to take through. We're not going to be sitting in May and June and say, oh, where's the deal done? I mean, clip this if you want to. And when we hit May and June and there's not a deal done yet, you can come after me for this. But I think they have a ton of time in between, now in spring training where they can, get a deal done. I would hope that they would get a deal done to where, once spring training rolls around, they can have time to train and get ready for the season, start the season on time. I'm a little bit skeptical. I think we're going to see a deal maybe in March, definitely April. But before the official opening day, we're going to see a deal done, hopefully for the betterment of Major League Baseball. I don't think the sport's dead. I don't think the sport's a downward spiral. I think there's just some things that a lot of these big wigs in the MLB and a lot of the big wigs in the Players Association need to come to somewhat of an agreement on so we can get the ball rolling into next season.
Yeah, I agree. Excuse me. No, I'm burping. Ethan's having a stroke. I think that the big thing is going to be getting to that starting date on time, which I know is probably like a no crap sort of situation. But I really don't know how the sport recovers if they do go into this lockout and it goes into the season.
Especially after, the 2020 season where actually the global pandemic was going on. So that too, how much more is it going to take, or how much more do they have left to, throw out there so the sport can survive?
And the MLB shot itself. No, you're fine. It's podcast talk. But, I think the MLB shot itself in the foot a lot more than it's bandaged up its foot, maybe. I don't know if that's a correct kind of way to go about that saying, but they had the first opportunity to do something when COVID started. COVID started right when they were about to start their season. Every other league was basically either on a hiatus at that point or what have you, and they had the ball in their court, the ball in their mitt, and they really could have led in the way and said, okay, here's how we play baseball through this pandemic. Other leagues were doing it in other countries. The Japanese baseball was the greatest thing for a couple weeks there. Yeah, we all saw it. And the MLB just took forever to get anything going, and they basically dropped the ball completely. And they've done so many other things where they've just really made you go, what on earth are they doing? Do they not like having fun? Trevor Bauer, who may or may not be a piece of crap, we're waiting to hear if those accusations are true or not. But for now, I'm going to operate under the assumption he's a piece of crap until I'm told that he's not. He was doing such a good job of marketing himself and making things exciting. And allegedly, you would hear all of the things of players represented by certain agents not wanting to be filmed in his videos, and all of these people who had this huge uproar about the way he was doing things. And it's like, this sport needs to adapt with the times. And I think in terms of adapting with the times, them and the NHL are in a snail's race to see who pulls ahead out of the last place spot compared to the other major sports in this country. So the NFL and NBA. But I mean, they've done a lot of damage to themselves and their reputation, how they carry themselves. I would argue maybe Manfred's even less popular than Goodell at this point in terms of commissioner popularity. And again, I've made it very clear on this show that my interest in baseball has just plummeted from my peak fandom in probably 2015 or so. It's just seeing a team, again, Ethan's probably going to flip out because I'm going to crap.
I'm not going to say a word. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But I think you have to understand, as a Pirates fan, the team was good for 3 years, and now I'm watching them, get the equivalent of a Wendy's 4-for-4 in terms of their financial situation. They're doing the bare minimum, and they're not even willing to spend any more money. They signed Roberto Perez to a $5 million contract, and I was going, oh my God, that's so much money. That's not so much money. There's guys making $500 million that are 38 years old. I mean, what's going on? And that really hurts your interest knowing your own team doesn't have a prayer. And in the MLB, you can't go sign 3 free agents and be like, all right, everything's all set. Here we go. It takes years. For the first 13 years of my life, I waited for them to be good. And after 3 winning seasons, they said, you know what? Blow it all up again. Here we go. And it's hard as a fan to be like, wow, I can't wait to watch the MLB this season when my own team might win 60 games. It's just a very difficult mindset to go into a season knowing that your team has no chance. It's tough to go into the season and go, wow, I can't wait to see the Yankees, Red Sox, and Chicago Cubs and whoever else has a big payroll compete. And maybe they have a down year once in a while when their players are out of peak position, but it's whatever. And I know the Cubs didn't win a World Series for 100 whatever years. It's whatever. But there's these big market teams that always have a chance every year to scrounging up whoever they can get. There's usually 3 or 4 other teams that find a way to be in the picture kind of regularly. The Cardinals come to mind where they're not associated as being probably a deep money pocket team, but they make the right moves. They make a couple of those really big signings, and they've always stayed competitive for the better part of my 23 years on this earth. And then there's a team like the Pirates or like the Athletics that, find a way once in a while. And as a fan, it's like, what's the point? It's not that exciting to watch. And you can now tell me how wrong I am and how stupid I am. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You can disagree with me. You can have your own opinion.
I'm not going to disagree with you because I see where you're coming from. But I think that's just the beauty of the sport.
the beauty of the sports that there might be 8 good teams?
Hey, no.
I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just saying,
No.
I don't understand. And I know I cut you off before you could
No,
explain. But
no, you're good. I mean, it's just different. It's a lot different than your normal salary cap based sports. And I think that's, what these old heads, they like. They're fascinated by it. They're fascinated by no caps. They can spend whatever the hell they want on players and everything and break the bank on a lot of these guys and a lot of these players. I think that's just the beauty of the sport and the beauty of the way the financial system in the MLB is. There's problems with it. Don't get me wrong. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
We can see that with the minor league systems and how they get paid, and these league minimum players, how much they're getting paid compared to other guys that shouldn't probably even have the contracts that they have and what they're producing to these smaller guys, to see how free agency works in baseball and all of that and all the intricacies in that. So it's just, it's different than any other sport, in where there's so many little intricate details of a contract. There's arbitration, there's this and that and the other. I think that's just the beauty of the sport. And look, I get it. The Pirates, they have the second lowest payroll in baseball, I think, coming in at $40 million, paying all of their players with $40 million. Tampa Bay also has a low payroll. Look at what they've done with their talent. They went to the World Series last year, made another run to the playoffs this year, won the AL East, did all of that. It's not all about, I say it over and over and over again, and I'm going to say it again. It's about developing talent. If you are good at developing talent and you find the right pieces to do so, and you're a GM and you're able to find the guys that fit your system, and and you have confidence in them that they will work out, the team's going to be fine. Yeah, they might not be breaking the bank. I mean, the Rays finally signed Wander Franco to 12 years, 180. I think I'm off on that. 180 something $1 million. I think it was more. But you see that's their first big signing in years. They let Willy Adames go. They've let so many other big names go. When you're questioning what the Rays are doing at this point and where they're at, they're competing for World Series basically every year for the past probably 2-3 years. And you're like, oh, they're getting rid of this guy. This doesn't make any sense. And then you see what they have in that farm system, and you're like, oh, this is why. So Wander Franco comes up. They have other guys that come up in the system. They play well. They light the world on fire. And there you go. Once again, the Rays are a smaller market team, and they're in the World Series. So you're going to see those. And like I said, develop talent. And this is what you're seeing with the Pirates. You saw what Ronzi Contreras did in that one start that he had with the Pirates. He pitched very well. You saw what O'Neal Cruz did. You see those young guns. And if you're a Pirates fan, you can, what on me all you want.
Wow.
But look. If you see these young guys and you're like, oh, why aren't the Pirates attacking and getting good guys and free agents? Why not you sign a big guy? Look at what you have on the wings. Look at what these younger guys that just got caught up for a few games. Look what Key Brian Hayes did in his first 30 games as a Pirate. Look at what the flashes that he saw when he wasn't injured this year in the 2021 season. Look what he did there.
Look when he missed first base on a home run.
Hey. We don't talk about that. But develop talent. It's not all about spending the dough on players. Yeah, that's no fun. That's no fun. If my pocketbook is as big as George Steinbrenner, and I can just throw,
oh my gosh,
making it rain. Oh yeah, there you go. I got a good team. I'm a Yankee fan, and look at my $350 million contract for Stanton. Look, good for you. But if you're a team like the Pirates, you're going to have to do it a different way. And that's what Ben Cherington is doing with the Pirates right now. He's building from the ground up. Yes, he got rid of Stallings. I get that. A lot of people were mad about that. I get it. He's a veteran guy. He could handle the bat. I'm going to call out Tyler Gallup. He's like, oh, Stallings is 33 years old. I don't get why Pirates fans are so mad about it. I was a little mad. I was. But, it seemed like he wasn't that key piece. Key pieces on this team. Two guys, Brian Reynolds and Key Brian Hayes. Those are your guys. Those are your two building blocks. The rest are on the wings. Nick Gonzalez, Peguero, Cruz, all of those guys in the middle infield. There you go. Then you got guys waiting in the corners. Then you got the people that you drafted. Henry Davis, who was in high A right now, who was in high A to end the year. He was just drafted. So you see who's coming up in the system. They're developing well. It's only a matter of time. You're going to see start to see trickles and trickles of guys coming in 2022. You're going to see that. You're going to say, an epiphany. And look, all those people that trashed on the Pirates for not spending money in free agency, you know where they're going to be at? Their asses are going to be in PNC Park. Mark my words. Because you know it's coming. You can't even deny that. When the Pirates are good in 1 to 2 years, or good in 2 years, in 2023, mark my words, those people that trashed the organization, that trashed Ben Cherington, that I'm not even going to bring up nothing, but trashed him, look, their asses are going to be at PNC Park. There you go.
And then they'll lose in the wild card game 2 out of 3 years and be trash again a half decade from now.
Oh.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
But
baseball's different.
I went on my soapbox there. It's different.
You have to build
not
up
every
talent.
team's the same. Not every team's the same.
You have to build up talent. These small market teams are good once in a while, and I get it. There's teams like the Patriots in the NFL that have been good for a long time and whatever, but it all comes back to this just bullying kind of spending from these same groups of teams. And on paper, they should be front runners. I know with the Padres this year, it didn't work out and everything. But for the most part, it's the Dodgers, it's the Yankees, and those teams throwing pocketbooks at people. And again, like I just said, it doesn't always work out. But that's where the big name guys are always going to go. And it's frustrating to always see them donning the same colors when they go to these same 5 or 6 teams. And yeah, teams like Tampa are good once in a while. Teams like Oakland are good once in a while. But then they have happened basically what the Pirates have happened. And they go into irrelevancy for a while after a small window of saying, boy, were we close. Boy, we really almost had them. In 2015, the Pirates had the second best record in baseball and lost in the damn wild card game. And we still get bitter about it because there's nothing else to talk about because they've been trash ever since. And we hang on to that hope that maybe Andrew McCutchen will come back for a farewell tour. And then everyone remembers he hits like 235 now. Okay. And I love Andrew McCutchen. Great person. Obviously, anyone who knows me knows that I like Andrew McCutchen. But at the same thing, people are so desperate to cling on to those teams that were good because they've been such bottom feeders for the last 30 years that now they want past their prime all-stars to come back. And I'll go to the game. I'm not going to act like that's stupid, but that's like the mindset right now. These small market teams, you want these players back from when you're good 6 years after the fact, 7 years after the fact. And that's what you're clinging on to. Oh boy, we get them. Oh boy, it would be fun. A fun little farewell tour. Yeah, I don't get it. These small market teams have nothing after a while. Once their window closes, it becomes the endless cycle of let's do it all over again. And that's what I think the issue is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, going back to the fans from these small market teams wanting these washed up all-stars that haven't really.
McCutchen does have some good home run pop.
He does. He does have some good
run. He's exciting. Pop. So I get it from like a marketing standpoint.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But where Pittsburgh is right now, I don't see why you would want him.
It doesn't fit.
Should he retire? He should retire with Pittsburgh. Yeah, he should. But anything more than like a 2-year deal makes no sense to me. Even a 2-year deal might be a lot, considering their talent that's going to come up, so they can be good for 3 years.
But you say that, and you're right. You're right. These small market teams, they want that. They want these former all-stars to be on their team to help them compete. Then you also got people that are fans of the Pirates and other small market teams that think they're the Yankees in a large market and think they can just, spend the bank on people. It's just not how it works. And people still fail to realize that. And that's what makes me angry as someone that, is highly invested in the farm system that the Pirates have right now. And what people do not understand is that's just not how that's just not how baseball works. Happens in other sports where a small market team can go out and get Tom Brady, let's say, or a player of that magnitude. Doesn't happen like that in baseball.
Well, speaking of football, college football, I have some issues I'd like to address. I'm going to get on my soapbox here. This is going to be a quick segment. Then Ethan's going to get on his college basketball soapbox.
No. This might be long. I am pissed. So go ahead, get on your soapbox.
There are surprises and miracles every day. Here's the thing. Now, you're going to have to bear with me. This is story time. This episode's gone way longer already than I planned for it to go. That's fine. It's whatever. As long as we wrap up in the next 15 minutes or so, I'll be pretty happy with the length. Heard that one before. Okay. Listen. When I was a child, my parents would bowl every other Saturday in the fall and winter. Okay? They would bowl in a league. And I would go to my grandparents' house on my mom's side. Usually. Once in a while, I go to my dad's side. That's irrelevant. And what would we watch? Me and my grandfather. Notre Dame Fighting Irish football. I turned on the telly, put on NBC. I saw Charlie Weiss's big ass walking around the field. I saw Brady Quinn, Jeff Samardzija, who was a San Francisco Giant. He was so good at football. Okay? And I watched them get ballywhopped by Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, and all of those Trojans at USC. And so how fitting is it that this huge coaching issue involves both of these teams? My life growing up was Notre Dame Fighting Irish football. I would watch the Steelers on Sunday, Notre Dame on Saturday, and my eyes would always be glued to the television. And I waited. I waited for Notre Dame to be really freaking good again. I waited so long for them to be what my grandpa used to tell me they were when they had Newt Rockne at the helm, when they had Lou Holtz at the helm. And I was like, oh, my grandpa's not a liar. When do they become good? When do I get my version of this? And then I was at my family reunion about a decade plus ago. And someone said, Brian Kelly's coming to Notre Dame. Look what he did in Cincinnati. He's going to save the program. And essentially, he did. He turned that program around, and in 8th grade, little Nicky, with tumors all over his liver, finally got to see Notre Dame play in a national championship game against Nick Saban's evil empire, the Alabama Crimson Tide. And they got ran off the field. I was gutted. I went into basketball practice, and my friends who had iPhones, I had a track phone at the time. It was 8th grade. I had cancer. I really didn't have a lot of bargaining power. Okay. They were telling me it's already 14-0. I said, surely this isn't so. Put Manti Te'o's imaginary girlfriend out there. Sir, surely she can make a stop. Okay. And then I watched them claw and fight their way to the college football playoff. And every time they got there, what happened, Ethan? They got blown to smithereens. Brian Kelly said he would help Notre Dame win a national championship. He was tabbed as the next great Notre Dame coach. Just this season, he became the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. Greater than Holtz, greater than Rockne. He passed all of them. And now, what do I hear? He's leaving for LSU. LSU? What? He's going to play harder competition. He couldn't even finish his promise with Notre Dame. And now he's going to play Oklahoma and Alabama and Auburn? You're telling me that he thinks this is the right lateral move? The upward move? Brian Kelly's a coward. There's no other way to say it. I don't Ethan doesn't call me up on the phone and say, hey, Nick, can you build a new deck on my backyard? And I build the whole foundation, but forget the friggin' legs. I don't do half the job. You know? I don't build the whole thing and forget to put nails in. I don't tell Ethan I'll sell him a brand new Ford Mustang and then forget to put the tires on the thing. Brian, I'm taking this a little personally. How do you get us there? It gets so close. And then just be like, sayonara, go Tigers. It makes no sense to me. You have one of the safest, most lucrative jobs in college football. Notre Dame will always get the benefit of the doubt solely because they were good 35 years ago. You have an NBC TV deal. You have all the publicity in the world. The only thing going against you is that everyone wants to see Notre Dame lose because you personally have not been able to find a way to get your team into the position where they need to be to win the big ones over Alabama, over Clemson. And then, without a word, with a 2-minute exit speech to your team, you just get in your car and go drive to Louisiana. Well, Brian, I hope you enjoy your gumbo because I'm sick to my guts, sick to my stomach over what you've put me through and through all of my other Notre Dame fans. My grandfather, Brian, my grandfather looked me in the eye and said, Nick, this is going to be the guy that takes us to the national championship. All those glory years I told you about, he looked me right in the eye and he said, Nick, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. He's going to be the one. He's going to be the next Lou Holtz. And he wasn't the next Lou Holtz. He was a glorified version of Charlie friggin' Weiss. That's all he was. Maybe that's a bit extreme. Maybe he had more success than Charlie friggin' Weiss. But I don't care. Because he was supposed to win us a national championship. And now he's just left us abandoned. It's disgusting. I hope Notre Dame plays LSU and I hope they run him off the field. I really do. I don't have anything more to say on the matter other than you lied to me. You lied to my grandfather. And I don't care if you let me down, but when you let my grandfather down, Brian, that's where I start drawing the line. When you hurt the people that I care about, that's where I draw a line in the sand and say, you've gone too far. And Brian, you've gone too far. Take your incentives, take your big money contract and shove them up where the sun don't shine. Amen.
I think you hit everything that I was going to touch on. Can I say it? Can I say it? 2 words. Actually, it's 1 word. Asshole. Look, the meeting, the meeting. Oh, how about the group me message that he sent to the team? He didn't. He let his team find out through social media. It's not even, he left. Yeah, okay, that's bad enough. But the way it happened, he let his team know. The team got it, all the information through social media. He wasn't even Notre Dame. He was probably in Louisiana when they announced it. Who knows? Because he wasn't in South Bend. So he gets a group me message, and then we fast forward to the morning, 7 a.m. There for what? 11 minutes. 11 minutes. He talked to his team after saying he would share more in the morning. Nick, have you seen the leaked video from his speech?
What, where he's cruising out of there?
Yeah.
I saw the one of him running into his car and his players standing in the parking lot. Like, what the hell?
No, somebody recorded his talk with the team. A snippet of it. It was released somewhere. I'll have to send you the link.
I haven't seen that, no.
Have you seen the video that LSU posted of him talking to LSU?
No.
Well, if you
honestly, I haven't been on Twitter much in the last 24 hours.
You need to check it out because it's hilarious. He says, "Wow, guys, to Notre Dame this it was this morning. to the Notre Dame players. He said, "Oh yeah, you guys are one of the top 4 teams in the country. Some of the best players out there." You know what he said to LSU about 5-6 hours later?
Oh no.
The same exact thing.
Like when Lincoln Riley said USC was going to be the mecca of college football, and then the Oklahoma players were like, "You just told us that."
Exactly. The same damn thing happened. And that is what, I'm trying to think of a metaphor here. Busted my tires.
Wow.
That doesn't make sense.
The Mustang without the tires on it.
Yeah, there you go. The Mustang without the tires right there. There you go. The deck without the nails. That's what it was right there. It was a big F you to Notre Dame. And it just shows what kind of a person Brian Kelly actually is.
Well, did you see the one story of when Matt LaFleur was a assistant for him or whatever, and Brian Kelly invited him and someone else over, and they thought they were going to have a party, and then he just made them do like household chores for him?
No, I didn't see that.
I don't know if that was fake or not, but yeah, it was some like really old story. It was like, yeah, Brian Kelly told them they were coming over for a party, and they like shoveled his driveway and took out his garbage.
Oh my God. No, but it's ridiculous. I mean, that's all I have to say for the matter. I just think he's an a-hole.
I think the same about Lincoln Riley. Moving on to college basketball. Duke just got bounced by Ohio State yesterday, which really hurt me.
Duke could have won that game.
They could have. They beat Gonzaga. So I have not had the pleasure of watching a ton of college basketball. I watched a few games here and there. They've all been very good, top 25 games, but I don't know. I don't want to embarrass myself by giving an inaccurate commentary on the state of college basketball. So why don't you, for a few minutes, walk us through your opinion of college basketball and its landscape this early into the season?
Wild.
Wildcats.
Wild. We could see UCLA get out-coached by Mark Few's Gonzaga team. Chet Holmgren, he's a little twig, but he sure as hell can play. And, once he puts on some more meat, he's gonna be even better than he is now. Because he's still kind of getting bullied down low, but he's been playing very well for Gonzaga these first couple of games. Also, I love these top 25 games that are being played in home buildings of the other ranked teams. I think that's great for the sport. That's something that I like to see, especially so early on. We got UCLA and Texas going at each other that first week of the season. Then, we got some MTEs. We had the Duke-Ohio State game. Ohio State, that first week struggled out of the gate, and then they started slowly playing better. Beat Seton Hall down in Florida. That was a good game there. And, just it's so great to see college basketball back into its pre-pandemic form from where as much was Feast Week was out of my mind crazy. And everything that you could have asked for. But once you start hitting, like, I'm going to talk about Pitt. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Coach Capel, see you later.
Yeah, goodbye.
They might not win a game against a Big Ten, an ACC team this year.
It's bad. They're bad. And, you see them. You see them lose again to UMBC. You see them lose again to the Citadel. It's just bad right there. And then you got leagues like the Horizon League who have only been able to, I think, muster just a few wins against Division I opponents. So you see smaller schools, smaller mid-major programs like that struggling early on in the season. So it's crazy to what you see happening. You see a team like Oakland, who's first in RPI, who's had one heck of a season. I just want to touch on that. They've been absolutely insane, beating Oklahoma State, going down to win the Gulf Coast Showcase on the terrible network that is Flow Hoops. And they win that, and they're putting up great numbers. They're really putting up great numbers, and they got a very talented squad there in Rochester, Michigan. And they're going to be a team to watch in the Horizon League as the season progresses. But just overall, I mean, I haven't been really disappointed by much. You got early season transfers. You got AJ Brahma transferring out of Nevada after their rocky started, and had to bring that one up because that's just hilarious. So you got that. You got some other things going on here and there, but overall, cannot wait for the season to settle into more of a conference play type ordeal. Still need to see Bill Walton and Dave Posh get back on to press row together and announce a game. I think that's coming at the end of December. Also, got to mention Dickie V back broadcasting the UCLA Gonzaga game, and then one more game. I think it was the Dayton game, who also struggled from the early going, but turned it on once again. But how about that? So great to see him back. I shed a tear when he first.
Oh, that was so sad.
Talking, yeah,
but beautiful.
It was beautiful. It was what the sport needed to see. We needed to see Dickie V this year. So that was one of the more touching moments there. I mean, just to see him back, you could see how happy he was to be back doing what he loves. So, I mean, just great for everyone involved there.
Yeah, I agree. And going back to what you started that off with, just like the energy, watching Duke and Gonzaga before the tip even started, that felt like the national championship game. The energy in a neutral site there at, I think was it T-Mobile Arena in Vegas? I know it was in Vegas. Was it T-Mobile? Just
who played host to like 10 different events throughout the entire 4 days that they were using it.
Yeah. Just that energy crowd. It was insane. It's what makes college basketball awesome. And it's good to see that back, I think.
And you love to see these early season matchups against top 25 teams. It's the players want it. I think everyone involved wants to see it. There just always seems to be that push and pull of saying, oh, we want our bye games. We want to win games early on in the season. And they're not really too focused on building that at-large type resume, even though they're a top caliber team in the nation. So I think this is probably the most I've paid attention this early on in the year. For some reason, this year being the year. But I've seen a lot of games where it's against top 25 schools and like national championship type teams playing against each other this early on. I don't think I've seen that for years.
Yeah,
this early in the season.
The Big Ten ACC Challenge usually by default has some of those games.
Right.
But it feels like there's a lot more this year.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, that's just something that was kind of interesting for me to see, and which is great for the sport because you're going to drive up viewership there. You get that taste of March Madness just a little bit in this neutral site setting. And one more thing. Did you see what Texas with Chris Beard did in Texas?
I don't believe so.
So he's new. He coached at Texas Tech, and he wants to build a relationship with the students. So
was this the thing where they had the student only
game?
Yeah, so that was really cool.
He threw a darty next to the big building in Texas. I forget what that's called. The guy that someone got murdered out of.
The Alamo.
Yeah, no. It's their big clock tower, but somebody got shot there.
The big clock tower that someone got shot
way
at.
back there.
The Eiffel Tower of Texas.
Yeah, something like that.
Matthew McConaughey's house.
So he's like, yeah, I'll take pictures with students. If you come to this, little event that I'm throwing here, you'll get free admission to this student-only type game at the where the volleyball team plays at some old gym that I think hasn't played a competitive basketball game since 1966. So students showed up. Chris Beard was, taking pictures, high-fiving, doing this and that, engaging with the students. And he walks them on over to the little gym. They packed 3,500 students in that building as Texas took on, I forget the team already. Oh God. But they took on some smaller school, but I think that's what you like to see. You like to see, coaches being personable, because that's really what's going to drive. And this is what I think smaller schools should start to do is, build a rapport with the students, because they're honestly, Texas, you're going to sell out most of your games because you're a top school in the nation, and you're going to be competitive. But for these smaller schools that, aren't as well known and aren't getting that fan draw. I think this is what coaches need to do. They need to get out there and, be that pep and, get students engaged and students involved in their program and make them come out to games. And that's a perfect example right there. So cool. It was so cool to see all of that, how that all played out.
And thank you for coming out to see the return of the Stranded Sports Podcast here on the Stranded Sports Podcast Network. Next time, maybe I won't be whispering. Maybe next time Ethan won't be the only one here. Ethan, it was a pleasure to chat about sports with you once again, my friend.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I mean, thank you once again for, tuning in and listening to us ramble on for about an hour. So
prided ourselves
Thank you.
Prided ourselves on, it sounds like guys talking sports on the couch. That's what we've gone after this whole time. And there's a deep drive to left field by Castellanos. That'll make it a 4-0 ball game.